Stephen A., is the lack of blue bloods this season good or bad for the NCAA?
You know what? It's a tough one for me. I would tell you that you like the blue bloods, but it's college basketball, and anytime you have an opportunity to see new blood step into the equation, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because what happens is that usually with the blue bloods, you see guys being one and done. You know, whereas with the smaller universities or the universities or the schools with less notoriety, you usually may not see that. So as a result of it, anytime you're talking about cats staying in school longer, it's going to definitely be something that buffers the quality of play for the NCAA tournament. We're looking at it. We're witnessing it now because we're seeing experienced teams that are advancing and the teams that are younger are home. That's just my thinking.
Yeah, I think along the same lines of thinking, it's good not to see blue bloods for the reason that we're not seeing them, not just because they're not there. Because the pendulum swung in college basketball to the point that even Duke and players, okay, we got to just get the most talent, recruit the most talented players. Problem is the most talented players are there for 1 year. So interest wanes because you don't even get to know the guys in the program. They're gone already. And in a COVID year where you have limited togetherness, right? Limited time to get to know each other, limited experience, that really hurt blue blood programs. And because of that, what I'm hoping is not just that, well, blue bloods not being in it is good, but the effect that it will have may be good. Because if you look at Gonzaga, you look at few, right? If you're a mid-major that can't just get the best, most talented recruits, that can be a benefit for the stability of the program because you'll have experience on your squad, and maybe the pendulum will start to swing a little bit in the other direction. Of course, you want the most talented recruits. Of course, a lot of those guys, the NBA-level guys, are going to be one-and-dones. But you have to have the right mix. Just like on an NBA team, if you have a young, improving team, you got to bring in some veterans who can actually still play, get some minutes to show them the way so they go in the right direction. And for that reason, I think what it indicates about or what the effect it may have, not having blue bloods right now, when we're talking about Duke and Kentucky, could be a good thing.
You know, Max, first and foremost, Gonzaga is not a mid-major. Gonzaga is a high-major program with NBA talent right now, and they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. But here's the deal. This is the great thing about the NCAA tournament, because first and foremost, you earn your way in. How do you earn your way in? By your resume. You have to beat good people. You've got to win your conference championship if you're a one-bid league. You earn your way in. Then once you get there, you're either good enough or you're not good enough. The difference between our tournament and, say, college football playoffs is that an Abilene Christian could never exist. A Loyola Chicago could never exist. An Oral Roberts could never exist. But in our tournament, there's an opportunity. Those programs get an opportunity to play, and if they are unique, if they have a different identity, if they can find a way to win, then it is terrific. Look, Duke's going to be back. Kentucky's going to be back. Indiana eventually is going to be back. That's great. But the new bloods are a true thing, Stephen A. And to see Florida State, to see Michigan re-evolve, to see these Loyola teams evolve, that's great for college basketball. It's great for the viewer. Think about the tournament the last few days. We have great games, great finishes, Cinderella stories. We have Syracuse, who barely got in, now all of a sudden in the Sweet 16. So I think the most important thing is we have competitive games, and we have teams that have the opportunity to advance and win on their merit, not on their reputation, not on their history, not on, who played prior, but in this moment in time. So I think the tournament's been great. I think it absolutely captures your imagination. This is my take on the Big Ten. I'm going to give you all the narratives, or at least what you're going to hear. First and foremost, you're going to hear, you know what, they beat up on each other. Maybe that's a problem. Second thing you're going to hear is, you know what? They were in Indianapolis for 2 weeks, and, they were there so long they got stale. Here's the deal. Within the season, the Big Ten was elite. All right? To me, it was the best coached. It was the best executed. It was the most mature, the most competitive league in college basketball. It is underperformed in the NCAA tournament. A couple of reasons why. One, they played against teams with unique playing styles that beat them. That's number one. They didn't play up to their level of ability. There's no doubt about it. Number two, you also had some teams lose that, quite honestly, UCLA, Michigan State, it's a push. This wasn't a vintage Michigan State team. Wisconsin beat North Carolina. They lost to Baylor. I can live with that. The games that concern you were Purdue losing, Ohio State losing. All right? Those losses were tough. They played against teams that played unique styles. And you know what? When you own the identity of a game, you have a chance for an upset. The Big Ten flat out underperformed, and yet the Pac-12 overperformed. You had Oregon State, who barely got into the tournament, but they won 9 of their last 10. They were hot. They get in, and now they're into the Sweet 16. Pretty interesting. Oregon, they were 12-3 their last 15. They're finally healthy. They play a style of basketball that's different. They've kind of probably overperformed. But it's real simple. It's one and done. This is not a 7-game series. This is not a 5-game series.
Yeah.
If you pick a bad day to have a bad day,
Coach,
you're getting bounced in this tournament.
Coach, how much of that is randomness, though, and how much of it is what Dickie V brought up on this show yesterday, where in the Big Ten, maybe they're beating up on each other, and the Pac, you don't want, maybe just Pac-12 is underrated, but it's not as grueling maybe to get to the tournament.
Yeah, the Big Ten did beat up on each other, and they played their tournament in Indianapolis, and they were there for a long time, like I said earlier. I think that's a factor, but they're better than this. All right, let's face it. Ohio State, you got to go and win that game. You got to go win that game. Yes.
Let me say this, a statement, and I'll give you the last word on this. Yeah, they're better than this. You're right, and I appreciate you saying that. Max Kellerman, you too, Coach. I don't want to hear no damn thing about them beating up on each other. Excuse me, when we talk about basketball and we talk about basketball players, what you hear consistently is that you get out there, you practice, you go up against competition because it prepares you for competitive play. It's when you don't practice and you don't go against competitive competition that you might be ill-prepared. So the way I look at the Big Ten, and if anybody from the Big Ten utters this excuse, they should be ashamed of their damn selves. What do you mean, oh, we beat up on each other? The fact that you balled against stiff competition within your own conference should have better prepared you for the NCAA tournament.
And Illinois was
hear that?
stomping some teams at the end who were good teams. They should have. It's not like they were beating up. Yep.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.